My name is Erica Hope. I'm the marketing manager here for Olde Good Things, and it's a huge pleasure to invite you to our after hours event. We have these once a month, and as you can tell, we're in love with history and the story behind the craftsmanship of these pieces that are surrounding us today. So the Olde Good Things team, Jim and Sam and Joe and Harold Deed and all of us, we've been putting these on once a month, usually the third Thursday. In the summer, though, it'll turn into, you get to see it first. When we come back from flea markets like Brimfield, we'll bring a full truckload in and we'll open it up for this Thursday event. So sometimes we're bringing in wonderful speakers like Cheryl. Sometimes we're bringing in wonderful pieces that we just want people to see here in New York. Either way, tonight's talk is all about these New York City West Side Highway medallions, which Cheryl will tell you more about. I'm not sure if you noticed, there's a couple cameras in the room tonight. So if you're camera shy, that's okay. Just throw me a wink and I will truthfully, and we'll make sure that you're not included. But besides that, we do have this as a Zoom class for those who join us online, for those who couldn't make it. I didn't see any winks. The wink.
No, and they all look good.
They all look
Right?
good.
They know. They're
The
they
winks that you typically want to get.
They dress for the occasion. We love that. We love that.
So without further ado,
Yeah.
sure, I'm going to hand it off to Cheryl,
Thank
and
you.
I'll be running the chat. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be here fielding those. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being online on Zoom with us. And thank you for being here in person. This table does look amazing. And you all look like you're enjoying snacks. And if you're on Zoom, you get to have wine. I'll give you a minute to go and pour your drink. I love Olde Good Things. What do I love about Olde Good Things? Well, let me tell you something. Well, I'm an old good thing, right? Okay. I used to be a young good thing, but now I'm an old good thing. I am a curator, an art dealer, an historian, and an educator. And in many ways, in the last few years, I have really become an educator with a capital E, which I'm very, very proud of. I've worked very, very hard. My foray into the art world was through the gallery, Leo Castelli, who is a really phenomenal art dealer. And I learned a lot from Leo, who really founded Andy Warhol and Jasper Johns. And then working with him and seeing the inner workings of the art world in the late 80s, early 90s, I wanted to do something different than just be in a gallery space and have people come in and ignore them and be rude to them and have them look on pieces on the wall and not understand them and then leave and never come back. I envisioned that the art world could be a little bit of a different place, whereby what if we engaged in a conversation with the artists about art? And every gallery, some very big fancy names, we won't name since this is being taped, told me I was out of my mind. You should never make an artist discuss their work. They did the work. How dare you? You may notice now that all galleries have artist talk. Okay. So yes, thank you. In thinking about art and having studied art, and really delved into art history and such, it's really fascinating because you really can't talk about art until you can talk about art, but when you understand the history of the world, then art changes. It changes the level in which you're engaged. And really what art is the human experience of history. We understand how somebody feels. We understand how an artist feels, how the human condition has reacted to wonderful events or horrific events through the art of the time. When I came into Olde Good Things, I realized the same thing pertains here. First of all, these people are very engaging and so much fun to be around. So you walk into this place, and especially post-COVID and being online all day, as you all know, to come into a space now where everybody wants to talk to you and share with you the history of something with actually, they really have no anticipation of, I'm going to buy this. It's a rare place. But I tell everybody, good luck getting out without buying something, because you become so engaged. You want everything. You want everything. And so what they've done here is Olde Good Things is they really have looked deeply at the history of New York and these great buildings and architectural sites. And as these places change hands, like the Waldorf Astoria, like the Plaza Hotel, they come in and do a gut job on it, take it all out, and we get to look at it. Waldorf Astoria, look at this. Rockefeller Center, 1988. The whole history of the 80s is right there in this piece. So very, very exciting. So when I came in a few months ago, I saw this piece. And I'm also with the New York Historical. We used to call it New York Historical Society, but we dropped the name of society. I'm told if I say it, I may get fired. So we're just now New York Historical. Okay. And so I've been working quite a bit, really in the last 8 years, really delving into the history of New York. And so I thought that we could share that history of New York through these incredible medallions. And I think that we're all going to learn something about this great land that we live on. And we're so unique as New Yorkers. I mean, I think we know that we're kind of in our own thing. Yeah. So before I start, I do want to point out that we have some auspicious people here. We have Shijia Chen sitting right over here. Shijia Chen is responsible for most of the historical restorations in the city, from the Met to Tweed Courthouse to the only artist to ever work on the Temple of Dender. And so he's an artist, and we have been working together for many years. Next to Shijia Chen is artist Song Shin. Song Shin has several pieces from the MTA grants, a major piece in the Brooklyn subway, B-line. And she also has, if you're walking down Broadway, the Garment Center, you will see all these beautiful lanterns. Song Shin. Arlene Joseph is amazing, amazing artist. Very proud to have her. We have twin Matthew and Nicholas Potiker, who you must go to their Instagram, My Phone Eats First, if you want to know where to eat and have the most amazing New York experiences for food and drinks. They're very big on drinking. Yeah, the cocktails, sorry. So yeah, so I just wanted to say thank you for coming and being a part of this with us. So let's talk about the history of New York. How many think New York's name was always New York? Great. How many think New York's name was something else? This is interactive, you guys. I'm going to call on you if you don't. Yeah. What do you think the name was? And if you guys are in the chat, please put it in the chat. Sorry. It's okay, Jeremy. You can, yeah. It was New Amsterdam. What was it before New Amsterdam? Very good, Jeremy. What was it before New Amsterdam? Mannahatta. What should we think about? This is am I clicking forward here or spacebar? So it was Mannahatta, and Mannahatta means something, okay? And we're going to go back in time. We're going to go so far back in time in order to come up to this time. This is New York at the time it was New Amsterdam. This is what New Amsterdam looked like. There was a fort, as you can see, a canal, a wall, Wall Street, Canal Street, Castle Clinton before Ellis Island, right? And the first path that actually the native peoples made is this path right up here. I'm sorry for my people, right here. This path is Broadway. That's made from the native period, which we're going to go back to in a moment. So really the city is emerging when the Dutch arrive in 1609. But let's see why they were able to arrive. And we're going to do this through those medallions, okay? So we have these 5 medallions, and they were commissioned when the West Side Highway with the Miller Elevated Highway in the 1930s was decided upon. It was called Death Street. That was 10th Avenue, Death Street. It was so dangerous to cross that they realized they needed to figure out what to do with both the trains, which became, we know today, is the High Line, and the elevated highway. And what they decided to do on the elevated highway is then add these medallions as the history of New York. That elevated highway saw its final day in around 1979. So here's where my husband, Gene Faber, comes in. Nobody can do video. No one can do PowerPoint like Gene.
No, I'm in the middle of the Zoom thing.
Okay, so we have you all have the benefit of having them in front of you, but for my friends on Zoom, these are the 5 pieces we're going to talk about, and you're going to feel connected to the city afterwards in a way that you hadn't before. And I really hope we also feel very connected to the cultures that came before us, because that's what art does, and that's what architecture at its best does. It connects us to cultures, and getting that cultural appreciation, I think there's probably, especially now in our history and in our current situation, connecting to cultures is the strongest thing that we can do so we can truly appreciate each other, truly. So how does this land get formed? I'm going to go back to Pangea. Who knows what Pangea is? Nicholas, tell us. Whoops.
It was a supercontinent before everything kind of broke apart.
Yeah.
And what is that?
Yeah, thank you. Pangea was the supercontinent, and it broke apart, and that has huge ramifications. Oh, I'll tell you right where the ramifications are. Let's see if I can go back. Let's see if, okay. In this one, let's see, in this right here on this medallion, this piece that this man is carrying tells us the importance of Pangea. Okay.
When is this one?
I hope that you feel, oh, thank you. It's the, Erica, it is, which one? Yeah, good. Yeah. So now what you all should be asking yourself is, or telling yourself, Cheryl, this is so fascinating. I thought you just stayed home and watched murder mysteries. And now we want to know why. Yeah. Okay. So,
Do you want me to point it out, or are you good?
oh, we're good on here. Can you point it out there? Does everybody see it there? Great. Okay. So now, so here we go. Let's talk about Pangea. It's a supercontinent. It breaks up. Okay. Again, Gene did this, guys. Look at this. He's showing us how Pangea breaks up. Do you love Gene? We love Gene. Okay. Pangea breaks up and creates the crevice that we know today as the Hudson River. If Pangea did not break the way it did, Hudson River would not be a deep water river. Most rivers are not deep because they're more worn away, but this has everything to do with that break it. Look what happens in South America. Gene pushed it back in. Okay. Right. This has everything to do with that deep water river. So essentially what happens 200 million years ago is that you're left with this giant crevice, huge, deep in the ground. How does it get filled? Anybody? Hey, close. Yeah, I'm going to say close. Okay, I'm going to show you first. Here's the formation of the Palisades, that break, that land. If you look at the Jersey side and our side, we should be connected like a puzzle piece, but we're not. It was that break in Pangea. I know, right? Thank you. Okay. Ice Age, 120,000 years ago. The ice sheet is 2 miles high. It starts to melt. As it melts, it's going to bring now the land with it, or the morass, right? And it's going to fill in the Hudson River. And then it does something really cool for all my friends out there in the Hamptons, and I better get an invite. It actually creates Long Island, all of that land, and stops. Okay. So now we created a deep water river, and this is the land of the native peoples. The Lenni Lenape, they know it, although this map is very flat, they know it as the land of many hills. That's what Mannahatta translates to. It's the land of many hills. on the river that flows in both directions. The river is fed into by way up north, there's a lake that's called Lake Tira the Cloud. I love Native people's namings of things because my course that I teach is called Looking is Learning, and they look at it and name it by what they see. So Lake Tira the Cloud, freshwater lake, comes down into the Hudson, Atlantic Ocean, salt water, pushes in, and this area right here is deep within the mouth, this area. Without that depth, the Dutch would have never gotten here at that time in history. We would not have these medallions. The Dutch wouldn't have settled it the way they did, and the English would not have taken it the way they did. They probably would have come in through upstate or the land. But when the Dutch come in, could somebody look at any of these medallions and tell me if there is some kind of rodent or something on them that, yeah, and you see a beaver. So Verrazano, in one of his letters, tells us when he comes through that area that now where the Verrazano Bridge is, he tells us something important. He says in 1524, this is an extraordinary land because these huge ships now, that is the new technology of the day that were used originally to create navies, because it's not enough to just be able to fight on land. We have to be able to fight in water. Are now using for exploration to find a Northwest Passage. And he said, we came into this land and the river is deep. And so our boats, our giant ships do not run aground. The native peoples welcomed us with open arms. They are extremely friendly people. He says the hills, he says it's a land of many hills, have minerals, and they are replete with beaver. This letter becomes a signal. It is the bellwether. Everything changes, but not right away. Because at first, when Verrazano gets here, he doesn't bring anything back of any riches to the King and Queen of France, even though he's an Italian explorer. But what happens is the people of Europe who are looking for other situations for themselves to get out of war or to move away from war-torn lands, to find new places to live, understand something. Beaver is going extinct in the Netherlands. Why beaver? How did this rodent build this country? I want to know. Why beaver? Why beaver, everybody? Why do you think? Why beaver? Why not something else? What is it about beaver? They make dams. Good. What else?
The fur and pelts that are probably pretty expensive or pretty sell for pretty tiny.
They do, but why beaver? Is there what else?
Water.
Who said that? Waterproof. Very good. Yeah, they're waterproof. So you can wear them in almost any kind of weather. So to have a fur that is waterproof. So by the time the Dutch are here from 1609, almost by 1630, 1640, this land becomes a world trade center. The Dutch Golden Age is built on beaver trade. So you will see in every single medallion, beaver. This is the beginnings of who we are and how important it is to us and how we're connected to the native peoples through this land, because we all live on the land. And yet we're not ethnically, right, native. But I really feel like we all share something when we live on a land that other people have stewarded before us. We do share that soil and that land with them. So this is the native, this is an early map. You see that crevice of the Hudson River? Yeah. And this is the map of the native, this is the Dutch making a map of the native tribes that are on the land. And then we're going to get to this is the so-called Castello plan. This is New Amsterdam. And this is for a brief moment, the British are surrounding in the 13 colonies. What do they want? If you have all the other colonies and you don't have New Amsterdam or New Netherlands, what do you think you want? You want the World Trade Center. You want New Amsterdam, New Netherlands, and the British take it. But then the Dutch take it back for a brief moment. I mean, so brief that for a little bit of time, it's called New Orange. But then it becomes New York after the Duke of York. And originally, we spell it with New Dash York, and then the dash is dropped. So the whole history, okay, good. The whole history is in these medallions, and we're going to go over it. I just wanted to show you this because I think it's very important that we see. Do you notice the Dutch houses back here in the background? You can't see it on this one. I want to move these people, but they're step gable. We still see step gable downtown. Okay, the step gables were there because the Dutch brought in the fireplace. You know who has a lot of fireplaces? Olde Good Things. In the front, they have amazing fire. Listen, seriously, buy a mantle. They have amazing fireplaces. These fireplaces, the Dutch had this understood. The Dutch came here thinking that the Lenni Lenapes longhouses were almost ridiculous because they're all made out of wood and there's open fire pits. They were stunned to find out that their houses were better heated, the longhouses, than the Dutch step gable because the fireplaces were so huge it took up one wall. But it gave way to professions, being a chimney sweep, right? All of these professions, and then climbing. So you still see, when you see step gable, that's the Dutch period. And the Dutch period also brought in enslavement. And I think that that's really important to know. So here's a auction, a slave auction in front of a place that still exists in Lower Manhattan. And so it begins there. The first establishment was a bar. Dutch loved to drink, and they were drinking beer far more than they were drinking water. In fact, even the school kids were drinking beer because it was easier to purify. So this is now when New Amsterdam becomes New York, and New York begins to grow. And we see a church that Chen has worked on, Trinity Church. Yeah. Grace Church. All of these places now are being established. And then this is the New York of when the Miller Highway comes in. And understanding this need now for transportation in and out of the city, but can we beautify it? What are we going to make it look like? What is going to be on it? And you know, this is New York, so everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's fighting with each other all the time. And it's amazing that it got made. It's amazing that it was knocked down. It's amazing it's gotten remade. But here are the medallions that we are going to look at today from the Miller Highway. They were placed along this area, and these are them. So what I am going to do, yay. Okay. So any questions on Zoom, put it in chat about anything that we've discussed, comments, thoughts, ideas. I want to hear from you. Don't make me call on you. You know, I'll do that. I'm that teacher. Anybody have anything that surprised you about the history? Anybody? Okay. So anybody. So let's go. Yeah, Abel.
We forget about beavers.
Yeah.
In New York.
Yep. It's literally the entire country was built on the beavers. And then as we move west, the bison. Beavers and bison in the history of this country. And certainly the bison is a very sad story. You know, I actually went to South Dakota this summer. So yeah, I remember you guys took that trip. So let's look at these medallions and let's see. I'm not sure where this goes now. I actually want to go back to the single medallions for my friends online, the Jean's Roland, and then we're going to look at the medallions here. So Erica is going to be so kind and she's going to point out, or somebody over here, can you point out medallion A? Medallion A. All right. Who's in front of medallion A? Arlene's in front of medallion A. So let's look at Medallion A. Hopefully Medallion A goes. Okay, thank you. That's not okay, here's Medallion A. Let's talk about Medallion A. Somebody tell me, because I want to make this interactive, guys. I'm bored with myself. So seriously, tell me what you see. I love looking is learning. Tell me what you see. And my friends on Zoom, please, if you put it in the chat, what do you see? What do you see? There's no wrong answers. Please don't be afraid to be wrong.
It's not a street, but there is kind of an architectural thing about the beaver as well, so it's kind of architectural.
Crown.
Yeah, there's a crown. Good. What else do we see? We see a shield, a beaver. What else do we see? Chen, do you want to tell us what you see, or you don't want me to pick on you tonight?
Just listen.
Yeah, okay, just listen. I've known Chen for 30 years. He never just listens. So this is really okay. So what else do we see? Yeah, very good. Good. Anybody else? Yeah. So let's look at that. The two shields, I'm just going to read a little, constitute the center of the seal. It's superimposed upon a larger shield is a small shield depicting in diagonal position a beaver, okay? A string of wampum. Oh, Erica, would you grab my purse second or my bag? I actually brought wampum tonight, okay?
You just carry it with you.
Yeah, and if it's not in this, it's in my bag. So, oh no, I have, no. Okay. Can we look for the wampum for me? I think it's in that bag. It's in the front pocket. I'm sorry, my friends. Okay. And this was made by a Lenni Lenape chief. So really important to the history of the Lenni Lenape people and to New York is wampum. It is not money. That's how the Dutch saw it. The native peoples did not believe that you could sell land or sell anything. That would be like selling the moon or God or a tree. They didn't take ownership. They were here sharing the land for this moment. Then their children and other people could come onto the land. Wampum, because we had this incredible deep water river, the river that flows in both directions, was replete with oysters. The oysters were a tremendous source for the Lenni Lenape. They would go into the river. They would take out the oysters. They're looking for the thickest shell. They would eat the oysters, very important. And then they would separate the purple part of the oyster and make these incredible belts and jewelry. Wampum was their way of, let's just say from Cape Cod, the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe came down to visit the Lenni Lenape, they would present them with a wampum belt or a bracelet. That bracelet probably could take 6 months to make. And so for them, it's like a flag. Those are their emblems. So very important. So on this piece, we have from our native peoples, we have the beaver and we have the wampum going around it. So really important and beautiful. Okay. Directly above the two shields and forming the crest is the Count's coronet positioned between single stars. Okay. Encircling the two shields in the printed legend, it says I'm not going to read it in Latin. You just don't want me to do that. But it says the seal of New Belgium. The seal of New Belgium, not New Amsterdam yet, but New Belgium. So yeah. And it recalls an earlier time when the Belgium and Dutch Netherlands were one political entity. All right. Questions, comments, thoughts about our first seal?
One question in the chat.
Yes, yes.
What does that say in Latin? So you answered it perfectly. And another question was, isn't wampum also something used like a treaty or a pact symbol?
Yes, very good. Who asked that? Who said that? I have to call them out on it. Karen Kane, such a good friend. Karen Kane, wampum it's a treaty. We're friends. It's a pact. We're with each other. We have each other's backs. You know, we're now as one. Yeah, it's very beautiful. Yeah, love that. Very, very good. Okay, our next, let's see if I can pull up my next seal. It is B. Can somebody, oh, I did it. Can somebody point to B? Where's the B? Right in front of Dr. J. He's affectionately known as Dr. J. He's a doctor, but he's not Dr. J. You know what I mean? Okay, what do we see? What do we see on this seal? Everybody, just tell me what you see.
The three X's around the capstone, those are the capstone.
Yep, the three X's. Yeah, great. What else? Anybody? Excuse me, don't be afraid to be wrong. Just say what you see. And listen, next time you guys go to museums, if you see or galleries, you see Arlene's work, you see Song Shin, see Chen, don't look at the label. Just look at the work. Okay? Yeah. What else do you see on that? Anybody? I don't know. I noticed letters. Yeah. Is there? Yes. It looks a little like a rat. I mean, New York's progressing. It's become a rat. Okay, no, but it is. It's a beaver. Anything else you notice? Okay, so let's read about this one.
Letters up there.
Yeah, there's some letters up there. Good. So after New Amsterdam won a form of municipal government in 1653, the Burgomasters and Schepens petitioned the West India Company for a new city seal from that of the first seal. And in 1654, the request was granted. The most prominent feature of the new seal is a shield with a vertical band through its center. In a vertical row on the band are three diagonal and saltire crosses. A beaver crouching upon the top of the shield forms the crest. Above the crest is a small shield. A mantle unfurls and drapes into a scroll-like formation along the sides of the larger seal, and on the label beneath the large shield is a printed legend. Again, it says it in Latin, and the beaver is taken directly from the seal, and it says the province of New Netherlands. So again, we're not quite at New Amsterdam yet. We're at New Netherlands now. What I find is interesting are the letters. And I think they're really beautiful because honestly, if I saw these and didn't necessarily know the amount of history, I would place that maybe even in the English period, thinking about like William, Catherine, so, but it's really interesting. It says, let's go. Where is it? Okay. The stylized monogram GWC is a charter of the West India Company. And the seal is the seal of Amsterdam and New Belgium, right? So it's interesting because we hear people today talk about the United States government is a corporation. And when they say that, and I realize a lot of people, they're not really, they're just saying things, they're reacting emotionally to something. And I'll say, yeah, we literally began as a corporation. We most literally did. It's right there in our seal. It's the West India Company. And they were paying people from the Netherlands to come to this land for this beaver trade and to create this colony. Questions, comments, thoughts? Okay.
Any symbolism behind whatever this floral wreath is?
Oh, the laurel. The
Floral.
laurel. Yeah, peace. Okay, C. Who is C? In the right one. Am I? Wow.
Is that C?
Chen, yeah, Chen's not talking to us. Okay, Abel. Yeah,
Yes.
Abel. What do we see? Anybody? Yeah, a crown. Sorry. Lot of, yeah, it's starting to get, okay, we see a crown and it gets fancy dancy. Who do you think's involved now? The British, and I say this with a lot of love. Okay, I don't want anybody to think that I am, okay. So after the Dutch had surrendered New Amsterdam to the English in 1664, the name of the city was changed to New York in honor of James, the Duke of York, to whom the province had been patented by King Charles II. In 1699, the Duke of York granted both the province of the city of New York their first seals under English rule. The seal of the province has as its center a coat of arms that's the House of Stuart. I feel like that's always a question on Jeopardy. and I never get it right. The Stuarts, the Roses, I'll get it right now. And encircling the coat of arms is the garter with its inscribed motto. Okay. I love the inscribed motto because it says, I can't read it in Latin, but Mali Pence. And basically that translates to evil to him who thinks evil. The British kind of take us to a negative place, but okay. Yeah. So interesting. The laurel wreath again borders the edge of the seal. Charles II, who ruled England from 1660 to 1685, was a Stuart monarch. It's the Order of the Garter, the highest order of British knighthood. And again, evil to him who thinks evil. And it's the seal of the province of New York. And the other word on here that says Iborachi means place at the water, which I feel connects back to the river that flows in both directions. All right, questions, comments, thoughts on that one? Okay,
Is there a lion on the seal or?
there's should still, oh, that's a good question.
That's
It's the,
Oh.
yes, it is. And what they did was, oh, I'm going to go to the next one. You'll see what I mean. Okay. Any questions from our friends on Zoom?
There are two plumes on each
the end of
side
the beaver there.
signaling nobility.
Yes,
Two
I
plumes.
think that's true. I think you're right. You know, it's all about the nobles, right? It's really, it's really interesting. I do want to interject this. When the British take over New Amsterdam, I'm not going to say the Dutch were thrilled because they had this World Trade Center, right? They got very rich. If you go and look at Dutch still life, Met has a good collection of it. You're looking at the wealth of a nation built off beaver skin trade. But the Dutch are also getting very rich, and so is the Netherlands, on the beaver trade. And the last thing they want to do is be in another war with England. So they give up this port, this city, this New Amsterdam. They stay. But they stay under one condition. They don't stay, they give it up under one condition. They stay, but the condition is that the port always stays open to anybody that wants to come here, irrespective of religion. We have first synagogues in New Amsterdam, right? First one, irrespective of religion, anything. You want to come here and work hard and make a better life, you're welcomed. And so that's something we still fight for today, and it's really written in the seals in many ways. Okay, next one. Are we on D? Where are we, Abel?
Susan asked, what are the different items in the shield?
The center of the seal. Oh, do you see a windmill? No, that's this one. Susan, I'm going to move on to another one because I just don't even know on this one. I have to be honest with you because it is so steeped in British hierarchy. So let's move on to, if it's okay with you. Let's go to, I want to move to, thank you. Okay, here's one of my favorites, you guys. I mean, I would love to own all of these. If I had a garden, if I were in a townhouse and had a backyard garden, these would be there. If I were in a country house, these would be outside in the garden, even in an apartment. And I would have to talk to all of these guys about this because Chen, you know how heavy these are, right? The cast iron, these can be mounted. I mean, these are incredible pieces of art, but I want you to look at this last one because that's why we went all the way back to Pangea for one little item. Now, you can either say that that's part of my brilliance or my real mental illness. I'm going to let you decide which that is. But on our last one, which is E, thank you. And if you want to stand up and look at it, there's an item that the Dutch man on this piece is carrying. And does anybody recognize this? Oh, I'm sorry, I can't even use it. Yes, can you point that out? Does anybody recognize what he's got in his hand? What do you think he has in his hand? Take a wild guess. Be wrong. Let's live dangerously. It's like a spoon, but is it a small spoon like to eat? Yeah. Like a butter churn. I love it. What else? He got here by boat, by ship. It's a depth finder. It's a depth finder. They understood from Verrazano's letter that that river was deep and therefore they could enter the mouth of the river, that port. And if you guys ever take the Staten Island ferry, you come back, go to the front of the ferry, you see Manhattan, you would see it just like Verrazano saw it, right? And so understanding that that deep water allowed for this colonization. What else do we see on this? The beaver's back. Yeah, we love that. Now you love the beaver, don't you? Yeah, you totally love it now. Yeah, Chen.
The center seal
Yeah.
supposed to be the seal of the state,
Right.
the New York State.
Oh, aren't you fancy, Chen? See, you know this. No, it's true.
I just
You're right.
we worked on that.
You were. Oh, yeah. What else is on that shield? A windmill. Yeah, very good. What else? Barrels.
Flower.
How did you flowers or did you say flower?
Don't know why you said.
Is it flowers for is it a flower barrel
Yeah,
or
flower barrel.
flower? My God, Chen, that's very good because honestly, when I first saw it, I thought the barrels were, it was in relationship to the Dutch and their bars. And that's where my phone eats first, the Potakers come in, they know cocktails, seriously, follow them. Okay. But it's not. When the beaver trade, this is what's so remarkable, really brings in the bulk of their money in only 25 years. When the British come in, they start producing, not only producing flour, but harvesting it from all over the area and then trading it. So those barrels are for flour. What else do we see? Yeah,
Repeat that because folks can't.
is that an eagle or a phoenix? That's an eagle. I love it. That's anything else?
The plants are flames.
Yeah. And you notice the native person, right? It should be Lenni Lenape. I do want to say that I am not 100% convinced, given the time frame that these were made in 1930, that that's a Lenni Lenape headdress. We always have this understanding of Native peoples as a cohesive group, that their clothing is the exact same from the East Coast to the West Coast or whatever. I'm thinking that may not be so accurate, but I think it's close. So in 1915, local law reestablished the city seal adopted by the Common Council in 1686 and subsequently modified in 1784. Although virtually all the devices of the 1784 seal are repeated, two new elements do appear. The date 1664 has been inserted and replaces 1686. Above the right hand of the sailor is a navigating instrument or a cross staff. So it changes based on what seal you're looking at. Okay, and now the crest, the flowering branches bordering the crest. Some of you asked about, hope I have that information. Maybe I don't have that information, and I apologize if I don't. I actually know this. I have to do with the indigenous plants, the plants that are indigenous to the land. And now we see that it is the city of New York. And so we've come kind of all the way through the history. And you will see, as Chen will tell you, you will see the seal in so many places. If you go to the Cathedral of St. John the Divine, the seal is there. If you go, many synagogues, they all have the seal. Many churches have the seals. All of our government buildings have these seals, and we walk past them and don't think anything of them, right? And yet we're all here as New Yorkers and love it, right? Love to be here. So questions, comments, thoughts, anybody? Did I miss a seal? Tell me. E. Oh, I'm sorry. That's where I got mixed up. Thank you so much. I'm dyslexic. I say that to everybody, like it's an excuse. It is. Okay, so let's go to E, okay?
D.
D.
We just did E.
Which seal is this that's up here?
But
E.
That's E, so D is the one
Thank you, Abel. That's why I put you there, Abel.
that. It looks a little similar.
It is similar. That's what I would say. Yeah, it's very similar to it. It's these minor tweaks now that begin to happen. And you'll see that as you start to notice seals around the city, you will see that some things get left off. The flowers get added. This is it, right? This is,
And still E.
okay, wait, we're just having technical issues. And we're going to get to the right seal. Thank you very much for telling me that. I appreciate that. We'll get to it. My friends online, we're getting to it. And anybody has any questions online would love to hear it. Wow, we have lots of chats. Thank you.
All of them.
Wow, I love it. Okay, so we're just going to go through this again. And can I stand up for a moment?
Absolutely.
Can you show me the seal I missed? Sorry.
It's very similar to this seal.
You mentioned
Yeah.
this, you were saying it went from 1660.
Yes, so what ends up happening, you may see this seal today and the date brings it back, because they really can't decide what date it should be when the Dutch, when it's passed, because if you remember, it goes New Amsterdam, Land of Many Hills, New Amsterdam,
We can't hear you.
New York for a brief second, New Orange, back to New York. And so in many ways, they just can't decide when is going to be the beginnings of our city that we know today. So you see this difference in the date. You will also see, really oddly, I saw it the other day, where the eagle on one is facing to the. I'm dyslexic, the other way. Yeah, thanks. Okay, yeah. And look at the native person here. This is what I mean. I feel like this is much more of a native, a Lenni Lenape headdress and certainly Lenni Lenape clothing than this is. This feels more like a Plains native to me, if I were to say. So
Okay.
it's
I think-
Were we able to see that one?
Yeah, we got here. Okay.
Okay, so. Yeah, so essentially, there's kind of like those two final seals, but there's distinctions within them. Yes, so yeah, so for my group at home, I am referring to. This was that seal that we just looked at. Here's what you didn't see. Oh, good God, did I do that? Sorry, guys. It's been a day. Okay, so this one we did.
I think there's a repeat. I think that one's twice.
Oh, that's why it's twice.
First and last. I think
Okay,
that's how we did it.
sorry, you guys, you may not see it at home.
I need you to speak to it because they couldn't hear you over there.
That's Jean's fault. It's not mine. Yeah,
So I think what you said over here.
Yeah,
you need
I know.
repeat.
So what I wanted to say to you is I wanted to say that the other seal that we have here, that the date is 1664, and there's a little bit of a controversy about that 1664 or 1686. In many ways, the city itself, the municipal government, doesn't know which date they want to identify. I can assure you the historians know, but the municipal government doesn't necessarily know. So you see the different seals with these two final seals, which are very similar, except in the other seal that you cannot see on here, the Native American headdress is slightly different. And I feel like in that seal, it's more of a Native American headdress that is significant to the Lenni Lenape people. So that's what we were talking about. Yeah. So let's very quickly talk about the Miller Highway. It got demolished. The people from so there were 50 sets of these seals. There aren't any in this condition left. I've looked everywhere. Somebody was selling one on eBay. It was filthy. I mean, it was beyond repair. But these are, can you tell us, Joe, somebody like, what did it take to clean these and get do they come in this condition?
Yes, we bought this set that
Mhm.
someone's painted.
Oh,
Paint on there.
that's why it's, yeah.
And bought them in that condition.
Yeah, you got them in very, very good condition.
Yeah.
They're very, very hard to come by now, and I don't think that I've seen a full set anywhere. So part of what I love to do, and am I running over time? You can stop me whenever you want. Is I feel very strongly about living with art and living with history. I think it's important to always know who you are and who we are and who came before us and who stewarded the land, who was here, what they contributed, what they did, how they held on to it, how they lost it, whatever it is. And certainly New York, this country, the country doesn't exist without the port of New York. It truly does not. And this notion of even going all the way back to the Hudson River, scientists are now trying to clean the river. They've been trying to clean the river for a long time. And they finally realized that the only way to clean the river is to do exactly what the Lenni Lenape did and that's keep the river clean through oysters. They're the filter feeders. There's this billion oyster project that's happening now. And unfortunately, it is not going as well as everybody thought it was because even the oysters cannot reproduce in this kind of fake environment. And so even this idea, who knows if the river it'll never be what it once was. But knowing that it was once there and once was this space for these people, I think is extraordinary. So I always encourage people to look at art a lot, go to museums, go to galleries, go to artist studios, and look at history because you'll find yourself in a different way that through the objects. Yeah. So if any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them. Or I'd just like to thank Erica so much for hosting this tonight. And thank you all for coming. And thank you to this team. Yeah. Great. Thank you, my friends. Does anybody, if anybody has any questions here, you guys, yes.
So there
sure.
were five seals.
Yes.
And are these the only ones that are sort of like intact and survived?
There were in 1979, 1980, there was a place that was selling them. Actually, the Brooklyn Museum has a really nice set in their collection.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Yes, it's from the same. These are right. These are right.
They're the same images by.
Yes,
Yeah.
and let me show you that. Yes, exactly. Am I saying that right?
Where were they?
I'm going to show you. I'm going to pull this up. I'm not going to go through this whole slideshow again. I won't do that to you. I'm going to pull this up. Let me put on my glasses and then, so the West Side Highway, the Miller Highway, the so-called Miller Highway, as they call it, went from Canal Street to 71st Street. It collapsed. Do you remember when it collapsed? Does anybody remember in the 70s? Yeah, it collapsed. I mean, it literally fell off. And they were along, I don't have this cursor here for my friends on Zoom, but do you see where it says approximately 10 feet? They were 10 feet apart from Canal Street up to 70th
So
Street.
they're at the base of those little.
Yes, the balustrade,
Yeah.
they're along there. Yeah. Does everybody see that? Yeah.
How many in total?
I think there were 50 sets.
Each set is
5.
Wow.
Yes.
450.
Yes.
Okay.
And so believe it or not, in 1979, I think it was the Daily News, probably, or the New York Post, they gave an address of people who were selling. There was a certain amount that they were going to let people buy. The others went to the Brooklyn Museum. I think maybe the Museum of the City of New York. I'm surprised the Historical Society doesn't have one. Chen, did you have information on that?
No, I just heard when I came here,
Yeah.
I heard some of they said the city was put this, the structure in auction.
Yes,
Only like about start with $1,000.
exactly.
One person, nobody buys, so one person bought for that price.
Yeah.
And then maybe a year later, they want buy back with $1 million.
See that? I'm telling you to buy it now. I am here to say, no, I'm kidding with you. But yeah, because, once something is gone,
It's gone.
it's gone. It's gone. And this is who we are. It's kind of how I feel about, anybody remember the club area? Sorry, I'm kidding. No, but what a great place to go and dance. Okay. But it's gone. But no, it's all kidding aside. Once an architectural element or what I call this material culture, because it's who we are as a culture, once they're gone, they're gone. So for my way of thinking, this is what I always gear people towards in thinking about collecting and owning things that are extremely meaningful to our lives.
These are kind of reminiscent of what you see on the avenues of the America.
Yeah.
With those different
Yes.
countries.
Yes.
And you look at them and you kind of forget that they're there.
Yes.
And then they start to disappear.
Right.
Or they start to get refurbished.
Right.
But then some just,
Right. Do you know how many times you've walked by these seals in your life? Right?
Yeah.
You've walked by and it just didn't, right? And we live in such an incredible city, so there's so much to see. But they just kind of disappear for you. Yeah.
They're there, but you
Right.
don't really pay attention.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anybody else? Anything?
Fascinating.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you all for things. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We're gonna go eat the rest of these snacks. And we will be releasing this on our YouTube channel for those who like to watch or just keep this close by. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful night. And thank you for all the thank yous in the chat. Just reading through. Thank you, everyone. Had a wonderful time having you. Please follow us at Olde Good Things on Instagram. We also have an account for our warehouse at Olde Good Things _warehouse, which is all of our architectural salvage goes first. And then we also have a newsletter that we'll be sharing this out in. So please feel free to jump on our web store and subscribe to our newsletter so that you can get this when the recording is finished. And once again, thank you for joining us. Next month, we're going to be having an event with a stained glass artist who will be coming and bringing her tools, talking about her process, and then walking around the store to showcase some different styles of stained glass pieces. So you can learn a little bit more about the art of stained glass there. So that will be the third Thursday coming up in April. So keep your eyes tuned. And thank you again for joining us tonight. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And thank you. Bye.